We going, yo.
We invented everything. Yeah. Thank God I'm black. Thank God I'm black. Thank God I'm black. We invented everything. Yeah. Thank God I'm black. Thank God I'm black. Thank God I'm black.
What's going on, you guys? This is the Boot Brothers podcast. My name is Sean Item, and I have several guests with me today. It's usually me and my brother Jason, but we have Sincere, the Love God, and correct me if I pronounce it wrong, but Lalina, right?
Yes, Laleen. Yes.
Laline. Okay, I'm adding extra stuff to it. Laline. And
Yes.
we're kind of if you know anything about our podcast, we talk about black empowerment, business, and just life in general. So this is one of those life subjects. If you guys missed it over the weekend, I believe, or sometime last week, there was an encounter with a black business owner, and he confronted three or a couple of tables of his customers, and basically it was some twerking going on. So some music came on, and the customers decided to get on the couch and kind of twerk in the middle of a restaurant, and he wasn't having it. So he kind of said some words. I'm gonna cue the video because I think it does a better illustration than I could ever explain. So I'll let you guys check it out.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing that's a little bit janky on this one to me is when you got to switch screens after you share it.
Hold on. All right, that's what my man had to say about it. I apologize if anybody's offended by curse words, but that was just kind of how it was. And I guess we'll be talking about that as well, because some people say that was like the point that he went left for them. But we have a woman on here. We wanted a full array of a real dialogue as far as all parties that are involved. So a young black woman. I'm a business owner. We got my man Sincere, the Love God. He's all over the political and current events. So and Jason, he always is going to be able to add his 2 cents and a lot of good perspective. So I think we have enough people to have this conversation, and we have you guys as our audience. So definitely chime in, give us comments and stuff like that, so that we could talk about it. All right. So ladies first. What was your?
But Sean, real quick, I don't know if you know, but I couldn't see that video or hear that video when you was playing it.
Oh, I couldn't know. So did nobody see it?
I didn't see anything. That's why I was just talking.
Let me see. Jason, go to the comments. Jason, go to my page and just look at the comments and see if people could see it. Because if he couldn't see it, they probably couldn't see it. Apologies, y'all.
I didn't see it.
No.
It don't show it? So what did it show?
It ain't show it.
Nah, we were on the screen the whole time.
You have to probably share your screen.
Yeah, you got to do that. It's share screen at the bottom.
Oh no, I know what I did. I didn't select it. I got you. All right, so let's look at this.
There you go.
One more again, because it's kind of hard to know unless you look at the context. All right, y'all. So check out the video real quick, and then we're gonna get our commentary about it afterwards.
I invested a lot of money into buying this building, into developing this concept, so black people can have somewhere nice to go to, okay? Somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as a, stop the music, please. Somewhere where our people can feel good about ourselves as a culture, okay? No, real talk. And so all this twerking and shit, taking the prime, taking the pink, don't bring it here because we're a restaurant. And so beyond that, 75% of my customers are ladies. And I want men to show respect for themselves for how they carry themselves here. How can I tell the men to respect themselves? And you guys are twerking on glass. If you want to do it, you fuck out my restaurant. Because I did it for our people and I did it for our culture. So don't do it now. Don't do it again. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like it, get out because I don't need your money. I need to provide something for my people. And don't do it again. Thank you.
All right, y'all. So that is the video. Let me stop sharing. All right. Okay, so sister, you up front. What was your commentary?
That was a lot, and I want to thank you guys so much for having me on today. So let's just get right into it. My perspective of the situation was I felt like there was different context of the video. There was a time where the owner had went to the ladies a few times before to ask them if they could please, stop the twerking, stopping the dancing. And I'm not sure, but from what I read, that the young lady was dancing on glass, and it could have been a liability. There could have been a lot of different scenarios there. So the owner went to these people not just once, but he went to them a few times to ask them to please, don't twerk, don't do these types of things in the restaurant. So let's take that into accountability as well. The part that I was kind of lost with the ladies about was, okay, we go to a restaurant to eat. Right. I've never been to a restaurant where I was twerking, pop locking and dropping it. I never felt the need to, even if there was music. I used to live in New York City, in the Bronx all the time, and Brooklyn, and they're always playing music in the restaurant, which gives you a good, nice vibe. You feeling good. You got your little drink. But I never was up twerking or pop locking and dropping it. And if I were, and if the owner came to tell me to have a seat, I would do that. That's complying to what the owner's requirements is for his establishment. So I didn't see where this was an issue. Now, where I did have the rebuttal was when the owner of the establishment decided to make this a broadcasted type of dialogue with the whole restaurant, because it's taken away from my moment, the ambiance of my meal and my encounter with whoever I'm with at that time. So why take that from me because of these customers? You could have quietly had that conversation and said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and check you ladies out. I asked you several times, please don't do this, X, Y, and Z. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close out your tabs. There was a way to do that. And I felt there was tact lost on both ends. I felt it was an opportunity for the owner to really take ownership a little bit different. And I just didn't like what I saw from the owner with the customer saying, your money isn't important to me. If you don't like it, get the F out. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I understand the passion of you wanting to create a space, a safe space, a great place for us people to come and celebrate and have a good time. But there was a way to do it. And I just felt like he missed the bar on that one.
For sure. All right, Jason, what was your thoughts about the whole thing, man? Because you live kind of close to them, and I'm not sure if one of us have feedback. If anybody's watching it, as far as one of us, like turn it all the way down because there is some feedback coming through. But Jason, what was your thoughts? Because you live right in Texas. This was up the street in Dallas, man.
Well, with the whole situation, I just deem it like we should have better morals set up as far as going into someone's place of ownership. He did go to them 3 times. So what was his breaking point? As you've seen, it was getting kind of out of control in there. If you would have saw the other videos, you saw that each time he went back, it escalated. So I understand. And then his DJ, which I'm not going to even, his DJ was
at fault.
Throw that ass in a circle.
Why
was he playing that? Like he was just adding gas to a fire. They already was, getting amped up. And we look at this and then we see the explosion. It was like he was a ticking time bomb. He going to him, asking him, okay, please stop. I'm gonna ask you again, stop. Then boom, he went off. So he got to his breaking point. I understand, like everybody, he's still human. If he's
Correct.
going to adults and asking them, please stop repeatedly, at what point is he not going to react out in emotion? Because he's gonna he could have escorted him out like the sister said, but like he was giving them chances, and the blatant disrespect just kept coming back and forth to him. And we see this in black establishments. Why do we have to be this way in our establishments? You know, because if they were in a white restaurant, none of that would have went on.
And we're going to take on those questions because I think that's a can. I've heard both sides of that. You know, like I've heard that, you know, like it would have went on anywhere. It does go on anywhere. And also, you know, like we do have that perpetuated self-hate that we got to talk about. We got to address. So we'll talk about that. I think those are great points you both have brought up thus far. Sincere, man, you had some commentary about it earlier on your lives and things like that. What did you see, man?
Yeah, man, and I really don't get the other side of the argument that much, man. I don't understand the justification of people saying, you know, he was playing that type of music, and you know how we are, you know how our sisters are. I resent that. You know what I'm saying? I resent that. Like we know better than that, man. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nobody raised like that. We all know better than that.
For sure.
And so for the ones that do practice that type of degenerate behavior, those are not our representatives. They shouldn't be the ones that's allowed to represent the whole group. You know what I'm saying? Because we got sisters like the young lady that's on the call with us right now. You know what I'm saying? She would never act like that. Like she just got done explaining. She would never act like that. And that's not to say that she's against twerking or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But there's a time and a place for different behavior, man. And that's just inappropriate behavior. And like Jason said, you wouldn't do that at your job. So don't use the excuse of because the music came on. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to do that at the job. So I don't get the other side of the argument, really. Like, it shouldn't be no argument. You all know that.
Yeah. So what do you... So
about the part of I just want to touch on the part about him maybe taking it a little bit too far. I think, you know, he was probably aware that this could be a viral moment as well. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, everybody pulling out their phones and recording and all that. And so I think people are real... cognizant of that these days, and this is good publicity for this establishment.
Yeah, it's great.
You know what I'm saying?
He's been on TMZ. He's been on a couple of different things.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think you guys bring up great points. So I like to ask. I mean, and anybody can kind of go. You know, like where's the line between like customer service and those type of things, and to where you know people are just human. And no matter what type of setting, you know, people could be pushed too far and these things could kind of happen to where, you know, we can humanize the business owner. Because I think it's almost this thing to where, you know, you hear it a lot, like, you know, mottos like the customer's always right. You know, like as long as I'm paying you, there's a certain amount of, you know, basically stuff you're supposed to put up with. When is that line, you know, too far? And did these young ladies cross it? Or do you feel like he should have had a little bit more tact in this situation?
Well, like I mentioned before, if I could just jump in, I feel like it was unfair to take that experience from the other customers. You know, if I'm there having my brunch with whomever I'm with, I don't want to be involved with that. You know, it's not fair to have that conversation with me. It's not fair to take that experience away from me, you know, a paying customer that is happy having a good experience. So I think that's where the line was drawn with the boundary as far as the other customers. I do understand Sincere when he said it was a viral moment and it was a learning experience for all of us, especially our culture. You know, the ladies, they definitely drew the line. You know, it was beyond the line of disrespect. You know, if I have to come to you more than once, you know, we are all adults. We're not children. You know, I shouldn't have to come to you like you're a toddler and continue to repeat myself. And I have a toddler. And one thing I can say is I don't repeat myself more than once to my toddler. He already knows what time it is, you know. So but where I feel the owner went wrong was, you know, there's something called emotional intelligence. And you've got to be able to utilize that, especially when you're running a business. And I know you wanted to create a place, and I felt so much passion in what he was saying, but like, don't take that experience from the people who want to enjoy it. That's all I'm saying. You know, let me enjoy my meal with who I'm with. Don't take that from me.
Yeah. So let me double down on that. Do you think it was a situation to where maybe this was starting to be a common occurrence, and he was styling for everybody. It was, and it wasn't just a one-on-one conversation that he was having with a few guests, but maybe he was trying to put everybody on notice about, like, y'all, we getting carried away, like, y'all, we doing this every weekend. Like, this is not why
well, if that's the case, there needs to be a code of conduct. You need to set some type of something where your guests know what time it is. You can't expect me to know what you want in your place of establishment unless you have some type of construct rules or guidelines. You know what I'm saying? And to do it in that manner, I think he needed to have his wife or woman at that time, if he had one, because we know how to be a good what is the word? We know how to go in and yes, we know how to go in and kind of cover the situation. And I could tell he was irritated because I literally have seen the other videos, and it would have been good to show those too.
Yep.
Because he literally was I saw him doing this to some of the ladies, like, please, ladies, like, we're not going to want to do that, because at the end of the day, what people need to understand about a business owner, he's liable for everybody in that restaurant. If those ladies would have hurt themselves while dancing on that glass or table, he would have been sued. Who knows where this would have gone, and it could have been worse than what it was. So I get his frustration, but again, there were other customers there, and I think it robbed them from the experience.
I definitely say that.
I could speak as a business owner on that as well, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And I think that's why he issued that apology specifically to the other customers. You know what I'm saying? He did address that. I don't know if y'all saw that, but in his post, he addressed that specifically, exactly what you're saying. So I agree with what you're saying, and obviously he does too. So you're 100% right on that. But I think sometimes us as Black business owners, you know what I'm saying, we trying to do something fly, we trying to do something nice. In the beginning, you just want to make sure that the money is going to be coming in. So you kind of let a lot of stuff slide. That's what I mean? You don't really get to create the culture that you have in mind because you're worried about the revenue up front. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't have the resources to just throw money around and waste money. We got to get it right. You know what I'm saying? So we make those excuses for our people. We know how our people are and blah, blah, blah. We got to play this music to get their attention and, let them have a little fun. And then, when you start stepping your game up and you want to start changing the culture, it gets kind of hard to implement the new rules. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Jason?
Yeah, it's a big thing that you said that people just tend to do. They abuse this. The customer is always right. That platform. The sister said something that was monumental a minute ago. Even though he neglected to use his emotional intelligence. But one thing I would disagree with you about, and this is the only thing, he can't put his wife in his place. He will have to be able to deal with the
He's the business owner.
As the business owner, because this is a problem that we have in the Black community. We don't communicate with each other very well, especially males and females. It's like it's always some angst. Like, again, if you go look at the video, you see the whole atmosphere of the restaurant was turning into a party atmosphere. The music got louder. Everybody around was getting louder and louder to the point to where he had to yell across the store to tell his DJ,
turn it down,
turn the music off. And then once he said that, a dead silence went in through the room. So I do understand the respect of the other customers, but like I said, I was in management for almost 17 years. And I've seen like the abuse of that. They, no matter what they say, they're right.
I have a question for you fellas, especially Jason, to piggyback off what you said. Do you think the women would have received it better if it was a woman than from a man, since there is that difficult? Because I think the women, when I hear the lack of accountability from the women, let me just say this, my sisters are not taking accountability for this, and we cannot condone the behavior. Let's just be 100.
And you got balance.
Yeah, come on, let's be real, ladies. Let's be honest here. The ladies were completely disrespectful. Now, to add to Jason, what he said about that, the construct between Black women and men, I think it really triggered Black women to hear it from a black man in the way that they did, and the way that if you go look at the responses from black women, they're going in like, who is he? We posted the customer's right. We should have this. And it's like, would it have been different if it was a woman saying the same thing?
I think
I
think so. I think so. I think that comes to the no, I do. Why? Look, Jason, because
let's go around with that.
Let's go around with it, because you have stuff like women can call each other, you know what, right? Like, it's certain things that I feel like are normalized when women are talking to women. Not to say there's not a certain amount of ratchet out there that no matter who is talking to them, that they're going to go in, right? But just to say it could have been, and that is, like y'all said, that toxicity, I hate to use that word, but like, you know, between male and female, that could have added to that. Before we go around, I want to throw this in there too. So I heard that something about training the culture and getting the establishment to be a certain type of way, and I'm kind of paraphrasing. Are we at the point, and I just want y'all to be real, that we have to train people to know that twerking isn't appropriate for a restaurant? And I want y'all to like really go there with me, because if we are, then that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about it and let's sit there, because this is not the first live or discussion that I've heard on this. And it's literally people out there that think like you are old time, that's old fashioned. This is just how people dance. This is just what it is. Like, are we at that time to where people have to kind of have a sign to say no hats, no this, no that, no twerking as well if this type of song comes on? Are we at that point? And I'll let anybody go, whoever want to kind of tackle that one.
Can I say this? So Sean,
yes.
You said that, and you go look at white restaurants, so they have high scale. They automatically have that as an assumption.
Yeah.
So why don't we?
Okay.
We can't neglect the fact that, you know, in our freedom, in our everything, our blackness, we go in.
Mm-hmm.
You look at parties, you look at what we do. We're taking it to that level, but at some point, like, what's the balance? You go look at the 1960s and 70s, look at the way that we dressed, look at the way that we held ourselves, and now you come down to the 2020, and it's like it's no holds barred.
So you feel like you do. So to answer the question, you would say that to have a nice establishment that's targeting black people, I want you guys there. You guys are my target audience, that you have to let people know that that's a part of what you don't want to go on in your establishment.
I think so. I think you have to. I think you got to have a code of contact, Jason, because if you worked in management for how many years, you said, yeah, so there's stipulations there. You can't expect people to assume what you want in your establishment. You got to have something there for me to know, hey, okay, this is what I have to be like when I go into this establishment. Now, I have been to some restaurants in New York City, in Harlem in particular. I used to love this particular restaurant, and they did have like, you know, hip hop type music. But the thing was, they had stipulations, you know, stay in your seat. They have hot food. You got waitresses bringing, you know, there's so many different layers to this, you know. Like I said, the owner of the company is liable for everything that goes on in his establishment. So the ladies are they were selfish, they were being disrespectful, and I'm sorry, black women, y'all can't take accountability. Y'all got to take accountability for it. It was a mess. And then when I saw the video, did y'all see these didn't look like young ladies either?
Nah.
These ladies looked old. I was shocked when I seen. Wait, no, can we talk about it? Let's be real. When I seen the video, I thought initially these were young ladies. I was like, oh Lord, this is some 18, you know, maybe 20-year-old. When I saw the video, these look like women that were well in their 40s. And excuse me, sisters, if you weren't in your 40s, I'm sorry, but you guys look like grown women. So what's going on here? What are we? What's missing here? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So Sincere, what's your thoughts on that question?
So there was a couple of things that I wanted to touch on in there. Bring me back around.
My question was, we definitely have some other things before that, but like the fact that we got to put no twerking in our code of conduct was just something that, again, I'm just hearing in the last 2 days as this goes viral. So I'm just trying to get y'all take on that.
This is news. Well, unfortunately, I would say there are definitely some pockets in Black society where we are just outnumbered by the ratchets. And you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So we're gonna have to establish new rules,
Everything.
new policies. You know what I'm saying? New standards. Yeah. I said ratchet culture is over, have a seat in the back. You know what I mean? That gotta be over with. It gotta be fly to be upright. It gotta be fly again. This ratchet stuff can't be, so normalized.
But this is what I'm gonna say. This is a thing that we have in our community that we look at the popularity of people. We have celebrities that are basically the spokesperson for our people, but who nominated them as the spokespersons? Because you look at these people right now, young women got Meg Thee Stallion to look at, Cardi B, Young Jeezy, Gucci Man. We don't have like Sidney Poitier, James Earl Jones. These people are the people that we should have that deem something of high character in our community. We have low character people in high positions because of their wealth, being the role model, being the engagement of what are the status quo of what you should be like. Remember last week, the girl with the Birkin bag, that is real. It's becoming a thin line in what you can say about yourself that will make a man look at you in a kind of a weird way. You got to be careful in what you saying, because you don't want a man to feel like I have to give you everything just to initiate or be with you. We have so much stuff that's in our community right now, and this is a prime example of it's just being it's a ticking time bomb. We imploding on each other. We have to get some kind of barrier and build.
I agree.
And that goes back to piggyback off Jason. Where's the disconnect from the more mature woman, the seasoned women, from the younger women? Because like I said in the video, these women look like they was in their 30s and 40s. So what's going on here? Are the affections of a man nowadays, is it to get this type of attention for him to be attracted? Like Sincere said, the ratchet culture is inevitably a part of our culture right now. It's very evident. But what is the disconnect from the older women? And that goes back to, would it have been different if it was a woman telling them this? I think so. I think so.
The only reason
Sincere, let Sincere go on that one. Okay. What was your thoughts, bro?
So as far as what I think, if it was a woman, I think it may have went even worse, because women are just real catty, and you know what I'm saying? They don't really want to hear it from like another woman. They're looking at another woman as competition. You know what I'm saying? And so my question to that would be, what if it was a white man?
Ooh.
What if it was a white man?
You would have got full submission.
That would have asked you to stop twerking the first time nicely.
You would have got full submission. See, and that's the thing I have an issue with Black women about, is because here you have a strong Black man who owns his establishment, who's asking you, who has came and asked you politely, treated you with the utmost respect a few times before it got to that point, and the blatant disrespect and disobedience to what he asked. It's simple. If you told me to sit down in your establishment, I would have sat down. But like you said, if it was a white person and they asked them to sit down, I guarantee you would have got full submission from those ladies.
And
full submission.
That's the problem.
And I think one thing that's not being talked about is, I don't know about our newest guest, what her beliefs are, but we believe in policing our own communities. So even though he was wrong with maybe what he said, right, the way that he came at them, I do commend the brother for not maybe calling the police, because it could have been a worse situation. How many times have sisters went in custody and they're not even here to talk anymore because something happened that should not have happened?
That's powerful.
Even though it was very difficult to watch him talk and use such strong language at this time with the law enforcement and Black folks, I commend him for at least having the emotional intelligence to deal with it however he needed to and keep
That's
it under
true.
his and basically in his home, you know, as opposed to kicking them out and, you know, in the streets or calling some other folks and getting them in our business that don't have nothing good, you know, for us. So I know Jason wanted to add a little bit more to that topic we were talking about. You felt like it would be good if a woman got in it, or you still like, nah?
Well, now this is a sticky situation. Now it does depend, like Sincere said, it does depend on the character of the woman and how much that she's dealt with those women. Now, if she dealt with the same level of disrespect that he dealt with, it's on and popping. It's not gonna be no words said. It's on and popping. I know it. I've had women under me that I had, you know, like my assistant manager, deal with it to a point to where I had a man say something, a racial slur to one of the customers, and she was like, I'm gonna do my best not to go off. Said the same thing to her.
Yep.
So and then the best thing I do commend them, because Texas right now is not the place to get pulled out of a restaurant with police. You guarantee those women would have been they probably wouldn't have made it home because everybody's energy was so high. They would have brought that same energy to those police, and the police would take everything out of context, and immediately it would have been a bloodbath.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to have the silver. I know it's a lot of negativity involved in this, but you know, like that to me, to where we could take responsibility for our culture and to say, hey, you have wronged me, you have disrespected me in front of all my customers, but at the same time, I do have some dignity and some type of pride to keep this in-house. I thought that was a win if there was one. As far as where do we go from here, you guys? Like what? Because I hear a lot of blaming, you know, the current culture, but ultimately, what's the root of this? You know, is what I would really like to pose and really ask you guys, like, where's the root? How do we don't just get here? This is the fruit of what we're dealing with, but there is a root to how we get to the ratchetness culture and how this becomes so prevalent. And I would like you guys to speak on that. What do you guys think the cause or the root would be to what we see in our culture today?
I'll go first.
The media.
The media?
You go ahead, Sincere. You want to go first?
I'm fine. You can go ahead.
Okay, I definitely think the media plays a major role in our culture today. Of course, you know, the Jesuit Jews control what we see on our everyday TV. So they want to give you.
Oh, we got one.
Oh, sorry. Did I say something?
No. So we never. I was just keeping it real, you guys.
Oh, well, okay.
I've never met this in my life.
Okay, I'm just going there. I just feel like the Jesuit Jews control the media and they want to depict Black men and Black women in a certain light. And it's not only affecting us, but it's a certain prejudice amongst our own people, but it's also other cultures and how they interact with our people as well. It's creating this narrative that we're a certain way. And so for me, I think it's the media, but I love how the conscious community of Black people are starting to change the narrative around. We're starting to promote each other's businesses. We're starting to promote each other's accomplishments. We're starting to go against what mainstream media is trying to push out this narrative about Black people. So I think it's all of our responsibility at this point to counteract what the mainstream media is doing, is to be accountable and making sure we're talking about positivity and what Black people are doing, because we all started somewhere, right? We weren't conscious initially, you know. We grew to this point. So there are some brothers and sisters, it may take us continuously planting those seeds for them to eventually come around.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say, y'all, is that this is the first time I met this sister. So we just took a limb, Sincere. We wanted to have a female on, and he picked the right one. I was going to bring
a Cardi B.
Man, I didn't know what she was going to do. That's why I had to ask you. I was like, I mean, I don't mind that, but at the same time, you know, we want to have a meaningful dialogue. So I'm just shout out to the sister. Sincere, what was your thoughts?
I'm sorry. I knew you would add some great value to the conversation. That's why I reached out to you. And you know what I'm saying? Everything that you're saying is right on point, because my response to that was going to be, it goes back to ownership. When we're talking about the root, it goes back to ownership. The reason why the media is an issue is because we don't own our images.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? We don't own our narratives. So we have to own our culture. We have to own, like I just said, our narrative, our story. We have to be the ones that tell it. You know what I'm saying? And we have to discredit anyone who is not vetted within our society that's trying to represent us within the media. You know what I'm saying? And to piggyback off what you were saying, being proud of Black people and where we're going, I'm proud of the new Black media online. It's platforms like this, conversations that we're having right now, which is going to be the solutions. You know what I'm saying? This is what we got to do in order to change these things. You know what I mean? To start that paradigm shift. You know what I mean? So that's where we go from here. That's where we go from here. Exactly what we're doing right now.
Right. So Jason, what would you say? Like, you feel like the root of the current status of some of Black America?
Well, you always know that I'm big on the mental. You know what I'm saying? So that I do agree with what they have said, but you know, the biggest thing about us Black people, we have that oppression that's been on us forever. And it's almost become a disease that we take into ourselves and we inflict it onto others. Like I tell people on my live, we have an oppression disorder. Not only do we live in it, but we put it back up to our people. So we have to heal ourselves mentally and then create a code of conduct to live strictly by. Because just like she said, Viacom, these Jews, they do have this and they running that thing. But you look at this, everybody in their community, be it Black or white, we have the same amount of murders, but we are always portrayed the most on TV. So with that mental status, us shifting it, we already know what they're doing. We already know how they're going to play. Let's create a plan. Let's focus together. We know they're going to do that. We do this. We shift away from them as quickly as possible. Heal ourselves mentally. Because if we could have they could have, like in that situation, if they could have somehow saw themselves for a moment and then had a self-realization, I think immediately they would have stopped.
I love that.
I want to piggyback off what Jason said, this last little part with the mental. I think what I was hearing is the self-accountability part. That's definitely a must with African American community and our culture. We've got to start, you can't expect someone to do something you're not doing for yourself first. And that goes with the self-love and knowing who you are. You got to know your history. You got to know your history, people, so that you know where you're going. And if you don't know where your ancestors, what they've been through, what they've come from, what you come from, a great
lineage.
Stop. Come on now. You got to know where you come from. And that gives you a sense of pride and a way of how you carry yourself. For me in particular, I was in the ratchet culture too. If you would have caught me about 10 years ago, might have been a lady, dancing at the restaurant, let's be 100. Yeah. But it took some conscious brothers and sisters like you to help open my mind and doing that paradigm shift. And then I started doing the real homework, which is that self-accountability and looking at my own life and wanting to see something different. So thank you, Jason, for definitely saying that, because self-accountability is definitely a part of that journey.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, doing for self. And, like I like the media. I like a lot of the ideas, but at the root of it, like you're saying, it's really about you having a certain self-worth and not only who you are, but who you represent. So that's one of the things I like that kind of discourages me a little bit about the whole situation, is that we have young women that don't even understand that they are connected to mommy, to daddy, to grandparents, to whoever shoulders they stood on to be able to get to where they are and have the freedom to even twerk on a table. We're so disconnected and individual minded that it's even hard to even have these conversations that y'all are talking about, because of the idea of we're so whitewashed. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a dolo type of mentality, and like our people don't come from that. Our people are tribal people. Our people are villages and communities. And, you know, so like, I think that's where I see kind of the breakdown of like, when I'm looking at that, I'm kind of like metaphorically looking at the breakdown of the black family, kind of, you know what I mean? And it was like, man, I would
Yeah, for
hate for
sure.
my daughter to, you know, and, you know, I got babies, but in 20 years to be sitting on top of a table and daddy worked, you know, night and day to try to have some dignity, not for your first name, but for your last name. And you're out here acting like you don't represent nobody. That's one of the biggest things that I see, even with stuff going viral with these phones and stuff like that. People are so quick to broadcast things that, you know, when I was coming up, you kind of kept to yourself. You know, what do we say? I heard earlier we were talking about kind of the viral culture. Like, what do we say about that? And that almost like that attention and that dopamine that people kind of get from these likes and these comments and things like that.
It's like a drug.
It is.
It's like a drug. See, and us as a people, we used to have such addictive personalities. We had, like you said, a tribal personality. When you look at Black Wall Street and you look and you see how we were like bees. We all moved at one single mission to get everything done. But now, since the death of Dr. Martin Luther King, once they put that into play, you seen they came out with Section 8 welfare, the segregation of the black mother from the black father. They divided us purposely.
Mm-hmm.
A black father can't even be in a household when they're on welfare. They can't be in it. So it's a grand design of treachery. So
Correct.
That on top of us being oppressed, redlining, our women being raped, killed, the boys being raped, killed. Like I said, I tell people all the time, think about what was going on before Corona. It was a black person getting killed every week. And then Corona came, cease and desist. All the Amber Alerts went away. If you live in Texas, it's an Amber Alert every 2 days. Walmart is scattered with people getting kidnapped. And then we look at, I tell people to look at this all the time. Look at our society. Pay close attention. In 1982, it was 40 million blacks in the United States of America. In 2020, it's 40 million blacks in the United States of America. How? How? When a baby is born every day, how are those statistics staying the same?
Somebody lying.
Somebody lying for sure. So as far as sincere, as far as like the rush that people get from doing these things, because I believe it's some sort of attention, you know, like at the root cause of this type of stuff, for a woman or a man or whoever to kind of do those things to kind of get the spotlight on them. You know, what's the solution? Like, what's your thoughts on that, man? Even if it's not solution oriented, just kind of speak on it.
Yeah, because I don't know about the solutions on that one, man. But I definitely recognize it as an issue. You know what I'm saying? The need for attention. You know, as a group, we're the most attention deprived people anyway. And then, as you guys are so eloquently breaking down right here about the family structure being broken, you know what I'm saying, for the last couple of generations, and you have these fatherless children and even motherless children, you know, running around, like you said, not representing anybody, and there's no rules being passed down, there's no code of conduct being passed down, and so it's just, you know, I don't know, man. So I don't know. That's a big one though, the attention thing.
And sister, I would like to ask you a question. As a woman, like, what are the demands that you feel? I don't really know how to word this. Don't go at me if I'm missing a few words, but like society kind of puts on you, even if it's not men, that you feel like societal, you know, like with the selfies, with the this, with the that, you know what I mean? Like, what type of pressure, even if it's not a pressure right now, what type of pressure did you experience coming up as a Black woman?
Coming up and what I experience now. Oh, gosh.
To kind of fit in and blend in, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of pressure
some of this
there.
stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure there if I'm really open and honest about that. There's pressure. But I have to remember who I am. I have to go back to the essence of who I am, and remembering that. Um, how do I word this? That goes back to the self-love stuff. When I utilize Instagram or social media, you got to know how to play the game. I know my people can't take too much consciousness at one time.
For
Okay,
sure.
so I got to hit them with a few pictures. I got to give them bit by bit. So I got to play the game. So if I got to give you a little smile here, give you a little pose here, I'm going to do that for you, because I know I can't keep giving it to you all day, all day like that. You're not going to be able to take it in and absorb the information. So for me, my way of doing it is, okay, I see they like the pictures. I'm going to hit them with a picture, but then I'm going to hit them with this information so that they can go and look into, wow, this is how you start a Black business. This is how I start my LLC, or how I go and do my sole proprietorship. So just doing it that way, or even hitting them with political structure or things that's going on in our communities. You got to give it to them in bits and pieces. And then as far as the pressure is concerned, I have to detox from social media a lot of times. Like literally, I will disappear from it altogether, because I do understand the spiritual aspect to social media too. You got to be careful what you're coming into agreement with. It's a lot of different things that maybe another video we can discuss that. But it's a definite spiritual tool that a lot of energy is plugged into, and it's creating a lot of monsters with this social media. And then we got to really think about our children when it comes to this social media stuff, because I think it will become an endangerment to them if we don't.
Yeah. I love that. I love that response. So now I want to throw it back to the guys. What is our responsibility in this whole thing, right? Because I hear us talking about the women and the twerking and the attention, but I believe the women wouldn't do it if they weren't getting attention. So at the end of the day, like where is our fault? Where can we do a little bit better? Or what's your thoughts in general about just where the Black man is in this whole situation? Because Shorty wasn't twerking just to be twerking. More than likely, there was some eyeballs, and there was some woo, and it was some, there was some different things. And even if it wasn't in that moment, maybe in the past she did get that response, so she was currently doing it based off of her previous experiences. And being able to get
Can I say something to that, Sean? It don't even gotta be men in the room. Women be condoning a lot of BS. Let's just talk about it, because a lot of them women was in there. Go girl, yes, do it. And they do this even when it comes to. I'm gonna just say it, okay?
Yep.
Look, women condone a lot of crap. I'm not against homosexual relationships if that's what you want to do, but women will even condone, yes, honey, wear those heels, and he's transsexual. He may be leading other men, lying to them. Black women will condone this, but they don't want it done to them. And so this is why I say Black women need to start taking accountability for their crap. And I'm not trying to be funny. Black women got a lot of trauma. We got a lot of mess that needs to be cleaned up, and we need to hold each other accountable as sisters. I don't think it's so much the men, because men usually do, they do a lot of things for the woman. And a lot of men, I'm gonna say this too. A lot of our brothers are low vibrational. It's physical. That's all they seeing. And a lot of women feed on that. Women got this now, y'all. We know what we're doing. We're not stupid.
So that's what I'm speaking to. That's what I'm speaking to. Yeah.
I know I'm doing that for a reason. And I do think there needs to be a level of accountability on the brother side, but there definitely needs to be accountability for the Black women. They should have been telling her, girl, sit down. He came over here once. Let's not do that. Because I didn't see no brothers in there but the owner. When I looked in there, I saw a lot of women celebrating nonsense. So I'm just saying.
Got it. So even in the greater context of that question, we have the likes, you know what I mean? The attention. So whether it be in that restaurant or not, a lot of us are feeding this. Like men complain about not the same thing women complain about, not being able to find a good sister, thoughts, all of these different things. But at the same time, these women ain't being put on a pedestal, and I'm not going to just use her name. Cardi B ain't Cardi B just out of nowhere. You understand? Like, we can blame the machine and all that type of stuff, but there's a lot of people that check for that stuff. How can we, what's y'all thoughts as far as like, what is the man's responsibility in this whole thing? And I'll let Sincere go first.
She kind of nailed it, because that was going to be my question. Is it really for male attention? You know what I'm saying? A lot of it.
Well, if you talk about fatherless homes, then I would say that it would. So we can't look at this just linear. If everybody didn't have a great father, like you are, Sincere. So maybe even not knowing that's what you're doing, sometimes that's what you're doing. So that's why I say, if we know the condition of our people and we start dealing with this at a very root level, as opposed to this high and mighty type of level, I think we can get somewhere. But as long as it's like, hey man, I don't understand that because I wouldn't do that. But if we start looking at the conditions of our people and understanding, like, they did a job on us. You know what I'm saying? So I would understand the outcome of why a sister would do that or why a brother would be doing that. So this is more of what I'm talking about. So yes, I definitely understand the fact of women being accountable, but we got to figure out how we can be accountable one to another to really, we are the yin and yang to one another. So anytime I hear about my sister having an issue, I'm looking at like, how can I come in, even if it ain't a man's issue? Like, how can I come in and help her, give her advice, tell her a man's point of view, whatever that might be. So I guess that's what I'm trying to ask on that question.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, and that makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that, because I wasn't looking at the question that way at all. But
yes,
that's a great point. And so from what I'm hearing you saying, to me, it still goes back to the family as a unit. You know what I'm saying? So it's not really a male or female issue. It's a black family issue at the root of it. You know what I'm saying? Because if everybody's playing their role, then, you know what I'm saying, we minimize this.
It's so funny, like, because you guys talked about, like, as far as the relationship with people being able to even check each other. I remember it was a time, man, like, where everybody in the neighborhood would be able to check you. Like, I might get a spanking or something by somebody that wasn't even really in the family. They had just lived on our street for long enough to kind of have that past, to where now we're at a place where elders can't even really, they don't know what they're going to get out of the young people. Or it's like you said, some of the elders, these weren't even young people in this situation when you kind of talk to them. So I think you guys have given a lot of great responses. I would like to kind of wrap this up with, as we are going into this, 2020 is a whole new phase. It's been a tough year for some, but it's also been a lot of great entrepreneurial. It's been a lot of great ideas. It's been a lot of stuff that I've seen that I'm like, if COVID wouldn't have happened, I don't think we would be seeing some of these breakthroughs that we are seeing. So it's been an interesting year. And as we go forward, I believe that entrepreneurship and Black ownership is going to be a cornerstone in what we're trying to do. What is our responsibility as a Black community to be able to uphold this standard that we're trying to have? Because this is what I'm saying. I heard the man, like, I know he wasn't using the right verbiage, but I'm kind of reading into what he was saying as far as, man, I spent a lot of money. I wanted to create a place for my people to come. And then when you do that, it's also this other side of it, y'all. As a Black owner, like, we all kind of notice in the back of our head of what that brings sometimes that other communities just don't bring, right? So, like, how can we get this thing to where people get mad? Like, I live in Alaska, right? So if you don't know, I live in Alaska. One of the things that people complain about is the lack of hip hop concerts up here. It used to be a lot of hip hop concerts back in the day. They stopped doing them because every time they would have one, this is a gun carrying state. Somebody was getting popped, like, on a regular. Like, it was sad, but that was just the truth of it. You know what I mean? You go, you get in your car and you leave, because if you hung around too long, somebody was probably getting popped. So, like, people stopped having those concerts. They would have more pop artists, they would have comedy shows, but they stayed away from the hip hop, to where it's like, I can't be mad at a business person if they start going elsewhere with their investments of time and energy when folks don't want to act right, when folks don't want to respect the establishment, when we don't have a sense of self-worth and self-pride to know, like, man, this person started from where I started from, or even maybe worse, and they have by the bootstraps or by whatever, his resources, his network, have been able to have such a nice establishment. Let me make sure that I put some respect on their name. Let me make sure that I know that Black ownership is super important, because Black people are the most unemployed people in this country. And if we don't start making business and being able to hire each other, we're really going to be in a bind in this coming future. Like, how do we set this standard? How can we, trickle down the effects of being responsible and understanding, if I don't treat nobody business right, I don't care what I did over at Olive Garden. I'm not bringing that crap into a Black establishment because I know what our plight is, and I want to do better for us. I like to just kind of go around, ask all of you guys that question, and we'll wrap up this conversation.
Ladies first.
Yes, ladies first, always.
Oh, okay. Well, I think a combination of things. It takes a village to raise a family and a culture too. And I think we need to get back to that village type mindset, holding one another accountable. And I also think we need to continue to use our platforms to celebrate people that are with their small wins, whether they're starting their businesses, it doesn't take nothing to like it, to say congrats, to share it in your stories, talk about the purchases that you made with the Black company. I mean, we got to start talking more and being vocal about the wins that we're doing. I don't think a lot of times the normal hardworking man gets celebrated. The normal hardworking woman and mother gets celebrated. We don't do that enough. We celebrate the Birkin bag girl, the wigs, the nails, the man who's shooting up the club, the thug life mindset. We're not celebrating the everyday Black man and Black woman or Black establishment. And we need to, there's no excuse. We got social media. And I think it was Jason or either Sincere who said, it's that individual mindset. We're not thinking like a tribe. When you see these Asians, when you see these Mexicans, when you see these other cultures, they liking each other's stuff. When you go in their stores, you see nothing but them. You may rarely seldom see you in there. You're going to see them working in their establishments. And I say all of that to say we just got to start getting into that tribal village mindset. Hey, this is our own. We got to celebrate this. We got to talk about this. It's nothing to like it, share it, comment.
Awesome.
Nothing.
Awesome. All right, brother Jason, and then Sincere, I'll have you round us out.
So one thing I would say, we need to level the playing field in our community. We need to break the chains of capitalism. We cannot have a hierarchy in our community and we're trying to build our community. So if we're all going to be entrepreneurs, we got to put ourselves at all in one level playing field. We can't feel that we're better, because I know some Black people, when we get a higher status or more money, we don't tend to look at the poor people in the same way that we look at the people that have the same or equal wealth to us. So we need to take away that and get away from the system of capitalism, because it's a memory of slavery if you look at it. And we keep trying to mentally justify why we should stay in this type of platform when we never used it in the first place.
I love it. All right, Sincere. And I pose the same question to you, brother.
Yes, sir. So I would say one important thing that we need to begin doing in our community is we need to kind of normalize people finding their purpose. I think that's one of the most powerful things that's happened for me in my life. You know what I'm saying? So just me experiencing the power of finding out what that purpose is and going within. I don't think that that's taught enough or talked about enough within the families. Like, we're not telling our kids enough to really go inside and find out who they really are, what they were designed to do. And I think that has a lot to do with the attention whoring that's taking place. You know what I'm saying? It's lack of purpose. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing what you're here for. When you're walking in your purpose, you're only looking for a certain type of attention. You're only trying to attract a certain type of energy. You know what I'm saying? But when you without purpose, any type of attention will do. You know what I'm saying? And so we resort to these acts of desperation to get any type of attention. And so I think just going inward, finding our purpose, and figuring out how to bring those gifts from inside of us. And you know what I mean? That's not saying that's the solution, but I think that's part of what we need to start doing.
For sure. And I would say the same thing, man. I think we need to start recognizing the God within all of us. And when I can look at you and respect you more on a deeper level like that, then I think a lot of this stuff gets resolved. When I'm not looking at you like a stranger, when I'm not looking at you like you're somebody trying to harm me, when I don't perpetuate self-hate, I think a lot of this stuff kind of gets dismantled. And that's gonna take some work. You know what I'm saying? I know it don't get done tomorrow, you guys, but I believe that's foundationally what has to happen. So I thank everybody for coming on here. I did want everybody to kind of plug any projects you have going on, or if you want people to follow you, anything like that, kind of do that. And Sis, you can go first.
All right. So I am the CEO and founder of Reflections of a Queen LLC, which does help women to find their purpose and to walk in their skill sets. So you can find that at www.reflectionsofaqueenllc.com. I am also the first Miss Black Arizona International. I will be competing with women all over the world to be the queen internationally, Miss Black International. So yeah, that's a great thing. You also can find me on Instagram at Reflections of a Queen LLC for the women. And then you can also find me on my personal page at brownskinbad_E. So there you go.
Awesome. Sincere?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all can follow me on all social media platforms at Sincere Love to God. Y'all can check out my podcast wherever you listen to your podcast at Sincere Love to Godcast. Did I say at Sincere Love to Godcast the first time?
I don't know.
Anyway, at Sincere Love to God on all social media platforms, and the podcast is called at Sincere Love to Godcast. I ain't plugging nothing in particular right now, but y'all follow me on social media and y'all see what's up.
What's up? And you can follow my brother. You see, it's Jason King Biz, and then myself, Hair Science AK, and me and Jason, we are the Boot Brother Podcast. So we just try to keep it black, y'all. We're gonna talk about our situation. Sometimes it's gonna be on the good, on the up and up, and then sometimes we got to talk about this. So this is not us highlighting anything that's not in the know. This was something that we really wanted to kind of put a narrative on and talk and really just get where the people are at. So I think it's been a very fruitful conversation. I appreciate everybody coming on. I appreciate all the comments.
Hey, so I'm campaigning to be like the Lord Jamal of your platform. Like Vlad TV. Like I'm trying to show up like twice a month. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man. That's what it's about, man.
All right, y'all. So I appreciate you guys, and I thank everybody for tuning in. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.